Hi, I'm Robin Wilson von Seldeneck, and I'm a member of the Mary Baldwin class of 1992. I was a double major in history and political science, and I will always be grateful for the strong liberal arts education that I received. Even today, almost 30 years after graduation, I regularly implement the skills that I learned both in the classroom and outside of the classroom through the many leadership opportunities that were available to me. I have been asked to share a program that we have recently implemented at my employer. I serve as the president and CEO of the Woodrow Wilson Presidential Library. Some of you may remember it by its former name, the Woodrow Wilson Birthplace Foundation. This organization has expanded from one building, the birthplace, and now includes a museum, a library and archive, and event space. Our facilities take up an entire city block in the city of Stanton. We're a nonprofit organization that receives neither federal nor state funding, and about 40% of our funding each year comes from admission ticket sales, and our high season begins with spring break and goes through the fall. Like many other organizations and businesses, we have recently had to close our doors to the public temporarily. But just because we're physically closed, we knew we still had to do our part to create and to provide enriching educational resources for everyone. Because after all, that is our mission. And it's why everyone on our team comes to work every day. So we decided that if the public could not come to us, then we would go to the public. But to do so required reinventing our current programs and tours and utilizing and expanding our current technology so we could offer those tours and programs that we already provide to our visitors when they come to our site, but to also share them with the people in their homes. And although it may sound simple, for us it wasn't. We have a great deal of expertise on the programs and the tours, and we learned pretty quickly how to adapt them. But the technology took a little getting used to for us so that we were making sure we were able to gear these programs to the audience in home in such a way that would provide interactivity with our viewers. So within 4 or 5 days of making this decision, we had already finalized our catalog of programs, we had written scripts, and we learned the new necessary technology to make it happen. I can't say that it was seamless, and there have been a few bumps along the way, but with a resilient team and a can-do attitude, I think we accomplished our goal of being an online educational resource. And through this new online programming, we have been able to connect with hundreds of people across the country who weren't aware of the resources that we regularly provide. And many people are now not just using our online interactive programs and participating in those, but they're also utilizing our online archives to do further research. And I encourage you to take a look at what we offer by going to our website at woodrowwilson.org. Through this process, I was reminded of 4 essential lessons, and I would like to share those with you. Lesson number 1, think outside of the box. Just as when I was a student at Mary Baldwin and our student organization sometimes had wonderful ideas but no money to execute them, I was reminded that the answer isn't always right in front of you. Sometimes you have to be creative. I think sometimes challenges can help you become more resourceful, and it requires you to look for other possibilities and solutions rather than settling on what's in front of you. And during this time, I was reminded of advice that was given to me by one of my favorite professors. He was actually my political science advisor. And I remember going to him, a 20-year-old dealing with one issue or what seemed like a crisis at the time or another. And I remember him so succinctly saying, when plan A fails, remember, you have 25 more letters. So, what are the opportunities that are there for you that you might want to be able to utilize? For us, we already had a virtual visit studio that's set up for interactive programs for schools who can't physically come to Stanton. So we investigated the idea of taking that studio equipment outside of the studio and into the field or the birthplace so that we could provide those live interactive tours of the house. And with a little research, we were able to make it happen. Lesson number 2, remember your mission. Our mission at the Woodrow Wilson Presidential Library is to educate on the life and times of Woodrow Wilson, his relevance for today and for the future. Although Woodrow Wilson was born in 1856 before the American Civil War, and he died in 1924, soon after the end of World War I, most people don't realize that the decisions made 100 years ago, most of them in his administration, impact our lives every day. And at the Presidential Library, we understand that it is our job to educate on some very relevant topics from 100 years ago that we still discuss in American society today. Everything from a woman's right to vote, economic reform, civil rights, immigration. What's the role of the federal government in our daily lives? The Federal Reserve, and yes, even a pandemic. We share those lessons in history because they allow citizens to be better informed about today and to make better choices for the future. Lesson 3, collaboration. I think one of the things I loved most about my college experience was the camaraderie and the ability to collaborate with others. And during my time, I learned early on that I'm not always going to know all the answers, and no one expects me to, but I have to know my resources. And in this case, I needed to know my stakeholders and needed to involve them in every step of this process. For us at the Presidential Library, we knew that to create a successful program that we could deliver, we needed to partner with a friend who could support us financially. So we turned to a foundation who regularly sponsors field trips for students in the spring. We reached out to the foundation and asked if they would be willing to use those funds that they had set aside for free programs for field trips and instead create free programs to everyone during this time. And they said yes. All of this would have never happened had it not been for our employees. We're a small team. We only have 6 full-time employees. And yet, without the energy and the enthusiasm and the expertise of my colleagues, this would not have happened. Through this process, we learned together, we laughed together, we've cried together, and we've just really supported each other. And it's really taken a strong team to make this happen and to make it happen so quickly. Finally, I think the final lesson to me is the most important lesson of all. And that is you always need to be prepared for the unexpected. Sometimes things come up that we can never prepare for. The fact is, life is not scripted, and so we don't have a guidebook that can navigate us through everything that comes our way. And at the end of the day, it's how we respond to the unexpected that matters. So while unexpected or adverse events can be difficult, they don't have to determine the outcome. You can determine that outcome. That's being resilient. Resilience not only helps you steer through the difficult times, it's empowering. It can help you to develop and even flourish along the way. So during these times, my final parting words are, please continue to maintain a positive outlook and be sure to remember you can always learn from the past.